Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yeah, I got some bad news for you guys. Turns out that my strut tower install video got corrupted for whatever reason. I don't know exactly what happened, so I'm just gonna go over the instructions that came with the strut tower bar. I found a link on YouTube where a guy had installed the strut tower bar, so I'm gonna refer you guys to seeing his video. Did a very good job. And what I wanted to do was just clarify with you guys what the instructions actually say, so that way when you guys do install it, that you know what the proper instructions are, and it's up to you guys how you want to go about installing your strut tower bar. So the way I did it was I basically kind of sort of did it the way that guy's link is a little different, but more or less it's the same. And basically, so the instructions here, I'm just going to do a brief translation. So the front page is basically talking about all the warnings. Make sure that you are torquing your nuts down, making sure that everything you're following the torque specs, as well as the torque specs are provided by the dealership and things like that. So although this is made for a hybrid vehicle, whether that's what they have in Japan, is either a hybrid or a turbo version, more or less the suspension components, they're going to be the same. So the torque specs are going to be the same. So what's provided in here is going to be the same for the American version, although the engine is different, but it's always going to be the same whenever it comes to body components. When it comes down to engine components or something else like that, then you're going to have to look up your own torque specs. But in this case, you can just follow the torque specs that are provided in the instruction manual. So basically, that's what's said in these warning things, making sure that everything's torqued down and you follow the instructions and whatnot. The bottom part here is talking about how that once you torque anything down, that you will be unable to return your item, and it goes through some other things about such warranties. And coming down here, you're given a kind of a dialogue of or a little brief diagram of what you get in your kit. So you have your bar, your end links, there are 2 nuts, 2 bolts, 2 washers, 2 locking washers, your 2 nuts, and 1 spiral tube. So if you're installing this on an American vehicle, the spiral tube is not needed. You could just throw it away, or you could use it for something else. If you have a hybrid vehicle, this is going to be installed on one of the wires. I won't be going through that portion. That's actually the last step, and also what's on the second page of this instruction manual. Because I don't have a hybrid vehicle, I cannot say exactly how this part is installed, although I'm sure it's just wrapping it around a piece of wire. But anyways, this is going to be mainly for the American version. So that's what you get in your kit. If you're missing anything, you can contact whoever your supplier was and tell them whatever you're missing. So second part is the actual install instructions. First part, it tells you that you need to remove your wiper cowl, your wiper links, your cowl top panel, and your upper mount nuts. So in this, what it's trying to tell you is that make sure that there's washers on the inner strut mount towers, bolts. If you have an American vehicle, and if you have not actually altered your suspension or done anything to it, you're going to already have the washers, so you actually don't really need to take off the wiper, or I should say the cowl mount top here. You don't actually have to do it, but it will make it easier, because what you'll find is on this side, the wiper link assembly here is going to block you from loosening this. But the trick to doing this part is actually to remove these two first, as well as these three here, and then you'll get a slight angle if you use a shallow 14mm socket here. And then you don't have to actually take off the wiper arm assembly. If you want to go ahead and do that, it'll make things easier, make things a little longer, but it'll make things easier. It's all up to you on how you want to go about installing. But the proper way would be, like I said, taking off all the linkages and the cowl and things like that. So next step here, so what it's telling you is to install your bar in the orientation where you could read it from standing in the front of the vehicle. So the Blitz logo should be facing towards you. And that's pretty much it. And well, the other thing too is that you can't really install this backwards, because if you install this backwards, it won't fit. It'll be, and also it would seem something is wrong, because you don't want your logo facing upside down. That would defeat the whole purpose of having a Blitz logo too. So going on to the next step, it'll tell you what the torque specs are. So you put your bar underneath the cowl mount, and so your strut mounts are going to be at 37 foot-pounds or 50 Newton meters. 50 Newton meters, if you convert it down to foot-pounds, is actually 36 point, I believe 8, or is it 36.9, something like that. So most torque wrenches have a tolerance of about 4%. So by you setting it to 37, it'll fall within the tolerance. So yeah, so anyways, just set it to 37. Your actual strut link bolt here, it's going to be at 40 foot-pounds or 57 Newton meters. Make sure that you do torque these down. You're going to encounter a problem though when you try to torque this bolt down if you do not take off the wiper arm link here. It might be a little difficult to torque this down. If you are experienced technician, you can kind of guess what is 37 foot-pounds when you actually break these nuts loose on the other ends, because I mean, that's just something that you pick up as being a technician for a long time. You get a kind of feel of what is your torque spec, or what your torque spec should be. So that's basically it. Once you get this all down, you're just going to be reinstalling your parts that you've taken off. So yeah, like I said, I'll be providing a link to you guys from what I found online, and you guys could follow his instruction. The only thing that I have a tip for on his install is that if you're going to use the hammer method to whack off, right, to replace, or how should I say, remove your wiper arms, I would recommend that you loosen your nut off the wiper arm and just thread it back on just a little, so you do not risk pounding at the threads on the wipers or the wiper linkage area. Because if you were to miss and you just destroy your threads on the wiper linkage, that's just going to be a big problem, and you do not want to deal with that, or unless you want to use your tap and die on something like that. But as much as possible, you want to be safe. If you hammer the hell out of your nut, it's not really going to do any damage. You can always pick up another one. That's much easier than having to deal with a damaged thread. So like I said, if you're using that hammer method, yeah, just be very careful. If you can, get a puller. If not, actually for myself, it didn't really take much force to take off the wiper arm, so I just lifted the arm up and just pulled gently and it actually popped right off. So and I also sprayed some PB Blaster and it came right off. So anyways, like I said, I'll be providing you guys with the link of his video. I'll also be making another video of some parts that I've found and give you guys some alternatives then to going with like Cusco and HKS or other things. There's other products out there, not as easy to get. You probably will have to ship it internationally. But I'll show you how I find my parts, and hopefully you guys subscribe. As you can see here, even in this video, this guy or whoever, this is probably the company, but they're actually using Blitz suspension. Like I said, I'll show you guys how to find parts like this. It's really quite easy, but in the American market, nothing is being shown. You're gonna have to hunt things down, but there are other parts that are available for this car, and like I said, I'll be showing you guys how to get it. Or if it would be easier for you guys, I'll just go down the list and then see if I can pull the part numbers, so you can just search the part numbers rather than having to try to find things out, because actually in order to find it, you actually have to be able to type Japanese. But anyways, so that'll be my next video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.